Hello, welcome to the Hardcover Hooligans podcast. My name is Danilo, and I'm joined as always by Mac. And Mac, I have a question for you.
Yep, I got an answer.
You made that sound?
Yeah, I made that sound.
So if you had to be in a video game to fight for your life, which video game would you choose?
I don't know. I don't know what I'd do. I'd do Mario so I get to go on a date with Daisy. That's what I would do.
Just eat mushrooms and jump on little guys.
Hell yeah.
My mind immediately went to Elden Ring, but that'd be a nightmare.
That's sort of what this guy has wandered into.
A little bit, yeah. So if you saw, in case you didn't see the title, I don't know why we always say in case you didn't see the title. You have to have seen the title in order to be listening to this, frankly.
That's true. It should, and if you popped up in your feed, it would say Hardcover Hooligans, and then it would say dash, and it would say the name.
The title, episode. And then it'll say what we're reading. Yep. And we are reading a novel called Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah, a novel I had to explain as I was finishing it up at a bar the other night. I had to explain it to the old man sitting next to me, and he looked at me like I had two heads, and then he said, I just ordered a book about a boat crash. And I was like, okay.
And you were like, yes, sir, there are books about a lot of different things in the world. Books can be about anything.
Yeah, he was an interesting guy. He said, I was like, oh, it's this like fantasy novel, and he went a brief synopsis. Like, I was like, okay, sure, I'll give you your brief synopsis.
Sir, have you ever heard of? You need to know two things, and that is Dungeons and Dragons and video games. What do you know about both of those things?
Oh boy, do you need to know about Dungeons and Dragons and video games.
So, this is Dungeon Crawler Carl, a book I have. I think the frequency of it getting recommended has increased. This, in some ways, has become the new Mistborn, I think. Many book recommendations.
I have certainly seen it requested or recommended that amount.
Yes, and I was surprised to learn that this was published in 2020. I believe it was initially an ebook, so it's, you're not going to like me for saying this, half a decade old.
Yeah.
Which is
that's
crazy. By Matt Dinniman. And he's an author. I believe these were first published in ebook form. I got a very, very nice looking hardcover.
Yeah, so did I.
I believe just came out.
Yeah, just last year.
A very cool bookstore in Arizona when I was there a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I wish I remembered the name of the bookstore. Here, I'll look it up. I should shout out the bookstore. Yeah, so it's called Changing Hands Bookstore.
Oh, that's fun. Is it used bookstore?
No, it was like a new bookstore, but they had a lot of different stuff, and they had like a bar where you can buy alcohol and coffee and a sitting area, and it was like attached to a restaurant or something like that. I don't know. It's very cool. Recommended if you're
an Arizoniac.
If you're in Phoenix for some reason. I've heard Phoenix described as a monument to human folly.
That's awesome. I've never been to Phoenix. I've never been so lucky.
That's sort of what it feels like, because you're in the desert and you're like, none of this should be here.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I've never been to Phoenix. I've never been so lucky.
The desert is cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I've been to Arizona. I thought it was very cool, very hot. I like the desert. I can pretend I'm in Fallout. Speaking of video games.
Yes. So let's talk about Dungeon Crawler Carl. Mac, some initial thoughts, general thoughts about the book before we dive in?
So I think I was sort of stunned that I liked this as much as I did. And I hate some of the humor, but the overall story and like lore of this world I found to be compelling, which I was surprised by.
Cool. I sort of initially, I don't know if it's just like how I was feeling or whatever, I like really hard bounced off of it right at the beginning.
Yeah, so did I. I tried to read this when it came out in hardcover, and I did the same thing.
And like, I think I like sort of got into a flow where I was sort of like, yeah, I get it. And then sort of by about page 100, I'm like, okay, I'm like sort of having fun.
Yeah.
Sort of once all the rules are explained, because
there's a lot of rules.
This whole book is just explaining things, how things
work.
This
is a LitRPG. This is a genre of book that doesn't usually make it off of the corners of the internet where LitRPGs are popular.
Yeah.
But this is one of those, and it's been described as like a parody of those. sorts of books, but I've never read any of those other books. So
It's sort of, I mean, if it's a parody, I don't want to read.
I don't
what
think
they
would
really
be
are.
for us. I don't think they would be for us. I think the humor is the parody part.
Oh, sure. I mean, I was reading it, and I think it made me realize I'm like, I don't really like lit RPG. Like,
Yeah.
because when we talk about Mistborn, it felt also very lit RPG, like the video gamey elements. But like, at least what you can say about this is that like it leans into the humor and the absurdity a little.
And
bit
at least
more.
it's a video game where the guy has to learn how to play a video game.
Right. Like it's like it literally.
They're
is.
literally in a
So-
tutorial guild hall, like from an MMO.
Uh-huh.
And so I was fine with it. I knew I was gonna bring this up too, because if people listen, they're gonna be like, "Well, you hate it when Mistborn does tutorials." Yeah, but these are like, I don't know. I like Mordecai. He's my favorite character in the book. He's a fun, like, tutorial guy, and the way that the book we learn almost by the end, it's like close to the end, that the guild halls are teaching the players different rules to like
Oh yeah.
maximize the chaos within the dungeon. I think that's fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, I don't think lit RPGs are for me when I'm reading. This is not what I like about books, this sort of
No.
thing. And it made me, when I was starting to read it, I'm like, am I just not fun?
No, I don't.
Like-
No, I agree. Because this book is not like, I don't know. This is like popcorn, sort of like
It's
empty.
fun. That's
Yeah, it's
really
fun.
sort of all it is.
Yeah, and I do think I'm gonna read the rest of them. Like that is, it sort of reached my like. I would like to know what happens further in this dungeon. I think.
I'm such on the fence because like I also sort of feel that way, but like I also don't want to keep like reading a lit RPG, so I'm very torn. But I also read it so fast that like
so, yeah.
it'll probably be fine. Like if I find myself with like a day and be like, I'm gonna read the next one, I might.
I think
but
the
I don't
very end of this book sets up a pretty cool mystery that has nothing to do with the dungeon. I was always excited to learn about the aliens. Whenever the aliens show up, we'll explain what the fuck we're talking about. But when the aliens show up and there's like different aliens and the politics of the aliens, I was like, oh, this is all really good. And then it's like, this epic pupper chonker exploded his dick and cum everywhere. And I was like, okay, that I'm less interested in. But
so the premise of the book. Let's get into the premise.
yeah, this is a normal premise, so.
It starts off. It's immediately Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This is how
Yes.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy starts. Basically, the world ends and everyone dies except him, but not really. There's like other people throughout the world, but it's basically just him. He goes out in the middle of the
His
night
name is
to
Carl.
like get Carl to get his cat, and all the buildings around him collapse and everyone in them dies. And a big hole opens up, says, go here. And there's like a big announcement that flashes like on a screen in front of his eyes, like a video game. That says like, hey, we're aliens. We're here to mine your resources. You were warned 2,000 years ago to get ready for this, and you did not submit your claim. So we're gonna...
Which I did think was very funny. I did like that.
We're making your whole world our TV show in which there's... various dungeons and you have to survive and get to the bottom or else you die. So there you go.
And if you get to the very bottom, you can be like the emperor. They say something like you can be king of your world.
Mm-hmm. But
But
also
that's never
you'd be the only human being left.
Yeah. Because they also say you don't have to go into the dungeon, but good luck surviving. Because like all the planets,
you'd
they
also
don't just
die.
collapse; they like flatten right to the ground, which I think is
Right.
very funny.
And that's so he is going. Carl is going through this dungeon with his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut. And there's I don't know how much we have to explain this. It's literally a video game where they
Yeah.
go in and they level up, and the first floor is called level 1, and they get literal loot boxes that they open. They have literal like an inventory that they can keep stuff in, and like boxes that appear in front of their eyes that they can like close with their mind. And there's an
Yep, they got
in-game
group
chat.
party chat. Yeah.
Right. The Princess Donut eventually levels up and learns how to talk, so she's also a talking cat. their relationship is kind of sweet. I kind of
is sweet. There's one moment in it where I think it's actually pretty effectively emotional, and I was sort of stunned by how much I cared about Princess Donut.
Right, because I read the description. I think at the beginning I was like, it's very eye-rolly, like, "Ooh, this is crazy cat and this guy who's like, I'm sick of your shit, crazy cat."
Yep. Yeah, she's annoying, and her full name is Princess Donut the Queen Anne Chonk, which is just the worst thing ever.
And she was like a show cat.
Yeah.
And so the whole book, I could not stop thinking it's like Hunger Games mixed with a Rick and Morty episode.
Yeah, it's very Rick and Morty.
It is like such a mishmash of a lot of different things to where, like, I think it is unique, but also all the individual features of it feel very familiar.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know if you felt that.
No, definitely. I think it's big Rick and Morty vibes, a show I generally despise. So I was not really. It's not like as edgy and like big quotation marks smart as Rick and Morty is. But it does share some of those similarities, especially up front. So I was not really excited about that, but I think where this book really wins me over is I like Carl and Princess Donut. I think if I didn't like them, this would be an insufferable book to read. And there's a great section of this book that involves, I think, with the old folks home that I think is really smart. Like, I think that's I think a worse writer wouldn't have had that, and instead it's just like, they fought rats here and did this there, and wasn't that awesome? Right. But they come up at one point in the book, they come upon like 40 old people who were like outside because the fire alarm went off, and so they survived. And so the Carl and Princess Donut and a couple of the caretakers like get them through a couple of the floors, and I thought that's my favorite part. I thought that was all pretty compelling stuff,
and like raises like the questions of like leaving them behind. And then they talk about like there were other old folks who are like, we're just gonna stay on the other floor, because when there's like a timer on each floor of this dungeon and you have to get to the next level within like 5 days or else it collapses and you die.
Yeah,
so there were some people who like stayed up there because they knew they weren't gonna make it and just like died having
and
fun,
like a video game, every time the TV show, because it's all televised across the universe, there's like patch notes. So there's like exploits. Carl stumbles upon an exploit that I think is pretty funny.
I think the patch note exploits were pretty fun, where they were like, so we fixed the bug where items preserve momentum in your inventory, because I think they found like if you put something that's going really fast in your inventory, you can like shoot it at people later, which is very funny.
If you entered there's like these personalized bathrooms like everywhere. You're like incentivized to use the bathroom in it. If you open it, it's like the persistent bathroom every time. But there was a bug where if you opened the bathroom and somebody else went into your personalized bathroom, they exploded, which is good. I did like that.
Yeah, the video. I think it's funny if you play video games.
Yes,
and I think something about reading this book, like I think the thing about like probably LitRPGs for me is like, it just made me want to play a video game.
Oh, me too. The whole time I was like, oh man, I think I'd rather just be playing video games right now.
Like I could be doing this and not reading.
Yeah, there's plenty of there's dungeon crawler. That's a genre of game, and it's just this. And like I could just go do that and not listen to this, or read this rather. I heard the audiobook was much touted, and so I was like, sure. Well, that I think is a lot of people's relationship to this. And so I read about half of it and listened to about half of it. And I got to tell you, I think I just hate audiobooks because I don't care. I just don't care.
I don't know how much sense it makes to like go plot beat by plot beat, because literally like that is what everything that happens. I think we can talk about individual parts.
Yeah.
That stood out to us, but like, I don't know. I feel like summarizing this book is not going to really do much.
No, I don't think so. There's
But yeah, it's a video game. The alien. So it's a video game, but it's broadcast throughout the whole universe, and it has a Hunger Games sort of mechanic where people have followers, and like the show airs like once a week, and it's like there's like hidden cameras, and it's not really a lot is like explained away by it's such high technology. It feels like magic. So there aren't any cameras around, but like this show gets cut together based on footage and stuff that all the different dungeon crawlers do. And so then Carl and Princess Donut can see like what other people throughout the world going through this dungeon are like doing to survive. So there's like this little girl with like two big Rottweilers who's like super famous and taking him down. And the Hunger Games aspect of it is like, if you're entertaining on this show, you get like sponsors and followers and likes and favorites. And so that like makes you more popular, and like sponsors can give you loot boxes that are better, which is like directly from Hunger Games.
Yeah, it is.
But it's fun because Carl is like not trying to be super visible, but like Princess Donut is a show cat, and she like somehow got very high charisma, so she's like super over leveled in charisma, so like she can talk to anyone and like make them do anything basically, and she like really wants to be on this TV show and do a good job.
Yeah, she is higher. She's like triple his charisma and double his strength, which is good. I mean, that's very good. But she refuses because she's a show cat. She doesn't want to use her claws or her paws or anything, so she shoots literally the spell magic missile at enemies, because she has very high intelligence, which they explain all this. I mean, literally, it's the Dungeons and Dragons stats, and they work, you know, intelligence influence like your mana points and all this shit. It's just like,
and
really...
you can eat like a cookie to restore some of your mana points. And
yeah,
there's literal boss battles. Like there's the local boss, and then like the borough boss.
I gotta tell you, the first boss they stumbled upon is really fucked up, and I think a really good the bosses. So there's like safe rooms and stuff. If you've ever played like a JRPG, like a dungeon crawler, there's safe rooms where you can like save, and sometimes some of them talk to your party members and whatever. Yeah, something. And in this book, they're all like places from the real world, because it all got like sucked underground and like transfigured in some sort of way, and so they just think it's places, and when they stumble upon the first boss, they realize it's like the human beings who are inside have been turned into like the mobs and monster enemies and the bosses. And so like it's this big grotesque like evil bug woman, but she can't speak English, and she's like begging Carl not to kill her in Spanish, and it's just like, I was really like, wow, I didn't know we were
and she's like each like boss or thing or like theme is like a riff on something like human-ish, which like one is what sort of makes it funny and entertaining, but that's also explained in the show that like, oh, this is their way of like sort of satirizing Earth culture or like teaching the universe about like what Earth was like. So the first boss is like this very like overweight woman with a bunch of junk, and she's like she's a hoarder, and she like pukes bugs.
Yeah.
And then there's another one, and then there's like two fairies that were like Karens. They had like the "Can I speak to your manager, Bob?" and they were being all like bitchy and stuff. And so it's all like shit like that. I think some of it's funnier than other stuff, but it explains why it leans on like human, like our humor that happens today, I think, which makes it work a little bit better. Some of it's not, I didn't find particularly funny or interesting.
No, I don't either.
But it's nice that I guess it was, there's like a role for it in the world, rather than just being like, isn't this crazy that this happens, you know?
Yeah, I just on the humor generally, I hate the AI. There's like an AI like that
item
controls
descriptions.
The game. Yeah, the item descriptions are so like lol, funny, random, and cringe. Yeah. And the there's like this ongoing joke. Carl he entered the dungeon barefoot. And without pants on, and so like the dungeon is obsessed with his feet, and it's just like, is this like 10 years ago? Like, it's just so wild. Like, I don't find the fact that the dungeon has a foot fetish funny at all. Like, I maybe it's just the way that it's being like expressed. Like, I don't know.
I think it's like really funny, like not ha ha funny, just like funny that it is happening, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Like, whoa, isn't it crazy that this is just like a video game? Like there's some aspect of that, and I think if that's all it was, I don't think it'd be very good. But it does have, like we talked about, like there's a couple thematic things, and like it asks some. I mean, I don't know if it asks interesting questions, but there's some interesting situations that make you go like, oh,
I think it's more for, it's just like
it.
the level, the varying. I think it's so funny that in the party chat, Princess Donut is constantly typing in all caps. I think that's really good. Because it's like he hears it in his head as somebody yelling, and so sometimes he gets scared when like a message pops up and it's in all caps for Princess Donut. I think that's really good. And then sometimes, like I said earlier, it's like, and then the big penis exploded, pee-pee and cock everywhere, and it's like, okay,
yeah, it's like
that's very funny.
The sort of the drier, more situational stuff is really fun. Like we talked about the glitch, like the exploits and the glitches are super funny because it's treated like very matter of factly and in world and in context. It's not like. I think the stuff that doesn't work is when it's like trying to be funny,
I don't think
random,
that works at all.
haha,
I think a super funny part of this is when there's a moment where they go on like an incel like alt-right YouTubers
I was
interview
just
show.
about to bring that up. So
they
get really popular.
Like really they like might be the most popular people to ever do it ever.
And just like Hunger Games, like in between the levels or during rest times, they'll like spirit them on some hollow deck to like do a show for the galaxy. And the first one they're on is like a very popular talk show with this like crazy crab woman, and we learn it's just a human in a costume, which is very weird.
I thought that was really good. I thought that was really funny.
She has like huge boobs, and Carl's like, I wonder why this show's so popular.
And then she just takes off the costume at the end. She just looks totally normal, and he's like, "What?"
She's like a person.
And it never explains. It's just like, yeah, she does it.
No,
as a
she
crab
says like she's like, I was a crawler, and that is what my costume was when I like finished the
must
game.
have missed that.
Because like you get crazy loot, and she was like, yeah, when I like my legs broke.
Because she didn't have legs. Yeah, that's right.
She like didn't have legs, and then a sponsor gave her like a crab lower body on her crawl, and she like welded it to herself to like keep going in the dungeon. And so that's like the character she's known for. But then this other TV show that you brought up is like he's like an orc pig incel guy. Did you want to explain this? It's pretty. So I like this part too.
They go on this other show, and he's like it's called like. This is not the name, but it might as well be. It's like Kill, Murder, Death Rage or something like that.
Right.
And the point of the show is to like really highlight the violence of the dungeon. And the audience is really what makes me laugh in this. They're like the host, whose name is the Maestro, which is awesome. He'll say something insane, and the audience will be like, slurp, slurp, and it's just like, what? They like, why are they saying slurp? And
Carl's like, they're all like 12-year-olds. This is like it's like an orc Andrew Tate.
Yeah, it is.
And his YouTube channel.
And it's fun. Carl like doesn't want to do it, but since his time has been contractually bought and he's obligated to do this appearance, he just is like bullying the orc host the whole time, which I think is very good. And I just love like that. So he is earlier in the book. Princess Donut gets an item that's a tiara that improves her stats crazy, but Princess Donut's her flaw, her character flaw,
her fatal flaw
is that she doesn't read the item descriptions before she puts the items on. Which again, if you play video game thing. Yes, if you play video games, that's very funny. If you don't, you're like, I don't really get why that's funny. I'm sure that's annoying. But when she puts it on, she gets all these crazy stats, but it means that she's like an official member of the Blood Sultanate royal family. And if they get to level 9, before they're allowed to go to level 10 or floor 10, they have to kill all the members. And it's revealed that the host of this show, the Maestro, is like intimately familiar with he's not a member, but he's like of the other royal family. And so you just get like glimpses into like what the hell is going on in the rest of the universe. And I think that stuff is really good. Like you find out the people hosting the games are doing it to like get out of bankruptcy.
They're like fish, yeah, because they're like fish space Nazis, and they've like bankrupted their planet. Because it's called the Borant Corporation, and like I was fully expecting to be like, oh, shady organization. We learn about it more later, but like fairly quickly he learns like, yeah, so there's all these politics and like the Universe Bank had like warships on the edge of their planet, and the only reason they stopped it is because they started this game show earlier. Because like the game show, they're like different corporations run different shows every couple of years, and so this was like their turn, and they're like fish people with like fish tanks on their heads, and the everyone calls them mud skippers because they're like fish people, and they like outlawed the term, but they're like Nazis basically. It's crazy.
They're literally members of the party and have to wear like a badge to if they're like a member of the party. It's called the party. I mean, it's not. He literally goes. One of the tutorial guys is like, they're like Axis Japan. They're mostly Axis Japan with a little Nazi Germany, I think is the way he describes it.
And something I really liked about that stuff was, I think the beginning part, like I said, sort of the first 100 pages before I was able to get into it, I think I liked that it knew, I think the book knows that like it could be horribly repetitive and boring and dull.
Yes.
And I think the real win and strength of this book is that it's not. It's like always introducing new things. And like it's not like, oh, here's this boss and here's this boss, and like there's a little bit of that, but there's enough different things happening. Like it's not just Carl and Donut. Like they're there by themselves for a little bit, but then they find this like other group, and they have these senior citizens they have to take care of, and then they're like, there's all these. They start enforcing the rule about going to the bathroom in the hallways, because like that gets super low ratings. That's why there's bathrooms everywhere.
Because like the previous game show, there were no bathrooms and people were pooping in the hallways, and nobody liked that. That was gross.
They got low ratings. So they put bathrooms everywhere, but then people still were using the bathroom, and so they're like, okay, anyone who's caught using the bathroom outside the bathroom, we're gonna send like a level 94 rage elemental to you, and kill your whole party. And so they're like, oh man, all right. And then one of the old people who's like has like some dementia, like pees, and then this rage elemental shows up, and they have to like deal with it, which is very fun.
Yeah, and it's also dark too, because they like kill him right away, and it's like tearing through these old people, and that's what I like. I'm stunned. There's moments of like real
some
emotion
pathos,
and weight. Yeah. I really thought it was all going to be jokes and goofs, and that's mostly what it is. But there's good stuff in here.
There's like just enough. I think if there was any less, you'd really miss it. I sort of wish there was more, but like that's sort of not the point of the book. The point of the book is sort of to be fun and have goofs, you know.
My favorite parts of the book is when it's not fun, and they're like really dealing with serious shit and problem solving. Like I think it's fun that the
problem solving is good.
Yeah, the problem solving is good. I think it's fun when the goblins do meth, like, and that's funny, but it's all in the purpose of like problem solve. Like they're trying to. There's like a goal in mind, and like the steps you might have to take. It feels very like D&D party at the table trying to figure shit out. But the reason that's funny is like in real life is because it's all being like improvised and riffed in the moment. But
yeah. And what I like, this happened a couple times, and I think it's really smart, where they're like, okay, here's the problem, let's solve it, and then the next thing that happens right away is them like deploying the plan. And so, like, as you see the plan unfolding, they talk about what the plan was.
It's way better than what Brandon Sanderson does.
I was going to say, like, it's not people, no one, like, it's people talking about the plan and then them doing the plan, and maybe one thing goes wrong, but then it's fine.
And there's some inversions of it too, where like there's a really funny chapter end where Carl, like, they're like, "What are you gonna do, Carl?" And Carl's like, "I have a plan." And then the next, literally like the first line of this next chapter is they're like outside of who they were just talking to. He's like, "I have no idea what we're gonna do." He just like says, because usually it's just like there's like a time skip and the plan is happening. But this time he's like, "I don't know, we got to figure it out." And it's fun to see them figure out plans. I think another part of this book that I'm sure is not in the rest of them is that these first two floors look the exact same. And so there's no like exciting, it's just like hallways and rooms.
Right.
And, like there's no exciting, I think that changes. I have no idea what floor 3 is. It makes it sound like it gets pretty crazy. That's why I want to keep reading it. I'm like, they keep saying like floors 3, 9, and 16 are connected somehow. And that's not going to make any sense until you get to floor 3. And this book ends literally right before they're about to enter floor 3.
I know.
Which
I was a little frustrated by,
yeah,
but I also,
there's like 9 of these fucking things.
I was sort of, I expected this, I don't know, I had no reason to this, but I expected this to be more of a standalone book. It's very much not. You get no resolution for anything.
I really thought they'd finish the dungeon in it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know. I did too. I don't know why either.
Because I know there's 8 of them at least right now, so I don't know why I thought they'd be
they get through 2. It was like I was reading and I was like more than halfway through, and they weren't even on the second floor. I'm like, oh, so we're not getting any farther than this, are we?
But it makes it exciting. Like the furthest anybody's ever gotten is how many floors are there? Are there 18 floors? Is that right?
Or 20 maybe or something.
Either way, like the furthest anybody's
19,
ever gotten is like 13.
And then what? Mordecai, he's like their tutorial guy in the safe rooms, who every floor like teaches them the rules and helps them
changes
through everything.
Because he's a changeling, which is pretty funny.
So he was part of the dungeon. Like a lot of the people who worked in the dungeon are part of the dungeon, and like as you get closer to the end, you get offered certain deals to like be able to leave. And his deal was like he had to work. He had to be like an indentured servant
for like 1,000 years,
basically. So yeah, something like that.
Because his time is almost up. His contract is almost up. But the company who owns the contract is about to go into bankruptcy, and the contract will get frozen if they do. And that's so funny. Like that is fucking funny. Yeah. The fact that he has to, and I love Mordecai has. There's so much. I am stunned about some of this book. The deft hand about which the lore of this world is just sort of like sprinkled in. Like Mordecai so clearly like has this terrible relationship with Odetta, who is the crab woman who trained him. Like something terrible happened. His brother is dead, and you think he died before the dungeon, but Mordecai lets it slip like in the last 20 pages that he died in the dungeon, and it's like, oh wait, and it starts to piece together, but just enough so that like, I mean, it really, this is an ebook form, and I'm sure they were cheap. You just are like,
right,
can't wait until the next one. It's like comics, like oh, I just move along, and they're super easy to read. Like this is not fucking Blood Meridian.
Yeah,
this is
it makes like, it makes a lot more sense as an ebook than like as a physical book.
Yes, it does.
Even though I own the physical.
This was like $30. I don't think I'll read the rest in physical book.
I don't think they exist.
No, there's the 3 of them are out.
Oh, really?
3 of them are out. Yeah. I think they're all done. They're just releasing them quickly, like how they were originally, along the same timetable as last time.
They're gonna make. I heard someone bought the rights to a TV show, which would make a great TV show.
It better be a cartoon. If it's not a cartoon, that's insane. I think
it's gonna be with Chris Pratt.
Oh my! And Millie Bobby Brown.
Millie Bobby Brown's gonna be the voice of the cat.
And the Russo brothers are gonna direct it for $5,100 million, and 10 people are gonna see it.
What else?
Yeah, what else even?
I don't know.
There's 2 other like murderers in the dungeon who are after them.
Oh yeah, he's like, I think they're cops because they're like super.
Yeah, they're like
they're killing other crawlers like almost exclusively.
And Carl hatches a plan to like trap them, and then we don't hear from them for like the rest of the book. And then on the show, on the Incel show, they're like special guests, and it's revealed that like the trap Carl left for them actually wounded their daughter a lot, and then the mom killed the daughter for experience points, and that's like crazy.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, and I think that shit is like using this style of book to effective emotional means. The mom killing the daughter for XP is compelling. Like that's a good way to like explore the morality. If you're gonna write a lit RPG, which I would advise against doing, but if you're gonna do it, that these are the kinds of questions that I find interesting about the genre and aren't gonna be explored in fucking Sword Art.
Right. It's like what is the human cost of like being a murder hobo?
Yeah, literally, like a fucking D&D. They say the word like the book it makes no qualms about it. Like the guy Carl's like, in the Forgotten Realms they do this, and it's like, oh, so we just like this is.
And
just...
it's like when I was playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, and part of the reason, the lore reason, is that the Brandt Corporation has been studying Earth for like 3,000 years, and so they know everything. So when you see a kobold in the dungeon, you're like, oh, I know what that is because of Dungeons and Dragons. It's not just like he sees a kobold and it's like, what is that? And you just have to, no, it's from fucking Dungeons and Dragons is what it is. The goblins too.
Yep. And then like crazy fun, like there's a Blaba spitting llama. There's like these like little boys that like are like rotting from the inside.
Yeah.
They can like infect you.
There's they get a pet and it's like a weird little chicken thing, and then it's being referred to as this weird name, and then somebody looks in the rule book and it's like, oh, we're calling it something different. They didn't call this on your world. It's a velociraptor. And you're like, oh, shit. Like, that's fun.
So they have a baby velociraptor.
Also, I laughed out loud. One of the pet options is like a meatball with legs and arms and glasses. I was like, that's awesome. His name is like the Tummy Acher. I was like, why did you not pick the Tummy Acher? And then later in the book, somebody's like, you really should have picked the Tummy Acher. He's really popular. And I was like, yeah, no, he's awesome.
It's great because I think it's so dense in terms of stuff like that like, you know, like we were saying, like some of the humor didn't work for us. Like, I mean, for me, there's like one of the fish people like was like talking about, oh, I love Gossip Girl, and like that was supposed to be like funny, and I thought that was not very funny at all. But there's like just so much stuff happening that like there's probably something that you'll find funny.
Yeah.
And it's all sort of tied together by like these characters they're developing, and then like, you know, Princess Donut acts like she doesn't need anyone, but then there's like a couple sweet moments where like she like admits like she does need Carl, and Carl's like starting to like her. And,
yeah, it's really nice. I like their relationship. There are the one joke that I
turns
think
out Carl's ex-girlfriend has been cheating on him with everyone.
Yes, it gets revealed slowly. Like more and more people are revealed that Beatrice, his ex, who's gotta show up, right? She's gotta be.
Has to.
I think one of the jokes, I was shocked that I thought this was funny because it seems right of the things I don't think is funny. Somebody in the world made an AI deepfake porn video.
Oh, that's
Carl
right.
And the Maestro.
Yeah,
and,
that pig guy.
And it's so... I laughed really hard. It makes Carl really famous, and then when Carl watches it, he realizes he's not even the subject of the video. He's just like, it's mostly about the Maestro.
Well, because the pig
detail.
guy is like some billionaire oligarch's son, and like the billionaire like gives him money to run his like incel YouTube show.
It's so funny.
And so someone released this AI deepfake thing after Carl bullied him on his own show, and so everyone started calling him Carl's little piggy or something like that.
It's really, and they're gonna outlaw it like Mud Skipper, you know, so we gotta get it in while we can.
Yeah, and the family like released a statement. It's like, please don't call him Carl's little piggy anymore.
So my predictions for the rest, well, I don't think Hardcover Hooligans is gonna cover Dungeon Crawler Carl.
No, there's 9. There's like 8. There's 7 more of these, as far as I know.
But just throwing it out in the world, things I would like to see in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I would like to see him, Carl, and Donut leave, like escape the dungeon somehow that is not supposed to happen. Explore the rest of the universe and these aliens, and meet Beatrice. Those are the things I would like to see, because I really do think I'm gonna keep reading them, because it was Danilo. We were supposed to record this earlier in the week, and like I had a busy week, and I texted Danilo and I was like, hey, I'm not done reading it, and he was like, I sped through it and I read it in a day. So
right.
I think it will be fine. Not fine, a very quick read, so I might as well. Especially, I'm gonna do that on ebook, though. I can't be shelling out fucking $30 for this. No, for each of these.
Yeah, I'm not spending $30 on a book I finished in 2 days.
No, I'm not.
That I probably won't read again.
No, cool cover though.
Yeah,
I like that without the jacket it says "You will not break me" on it, which I think is what Carl says.
Oh, cool! I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's what Carl says over and over again, and I think that's. When Carl has like inner monologues and he's not being like lol funny random, and he's like so unbelievably traumatized and fucked up about everything that's going on, I think that's good. That's good stuff.
Well, and then like he's like, you know, all these goblins are just trying to like there's a room where he's like, okay,
Yeah.
I know how to deal with this goblin boss. I'm gonna throw a bomb in there and explode, and he gets a bunch of experience points. It turns out that was like the brood mother, and so he just like exploded a bunch of goblin babies. Yeah. And the AI is like, you killed a bunch of babies. I bet you feel great about yourself, huh?
Yeah. Oh, one other thing. This book ends right before the epilogue. There's this homeless woman who started the fire that got all the old folks out of the house, and she's like with the old folks, and she's like, classic.
She's like a crazy wild card. Yeah.
A crazy homeless woman trope, and she ventures deeper into the dungeon before everybody else does, and she like disappears, and she's like edited out of all the footage because they get to like watch the show, and they find it really weird. And Carl, upon like reaching level 10 or whatever, gets a new tab in his inventory called History, and he notices 3 things that he's never seen before.
I love this.
Yeah, this is really good.
I thought it was a perfect I thought this was like a perfect like cliffhanger to end the book on, because it's very like, what the hell?
Because he took her shopping cart. Carl has literally 10 tons of inventory items.
He's like stealing tables. It's also funny if you play video games, because like if you like Baldur's Gate, because like he has no like equip load, so he can literally take everything, like sheets of metal, books. He has everything, like 3 tons of gunpowder on him from the Goblin Gang.
Oh, one of the exploits that Carl is exploiting is that purchasable like workbenches you could place in a safe room are indestructible, and so if you take them out of your inventory not in a safe room, you can use it as like a shield that nothing can penetrate, which is very good. But he uses it one time and realizes it like by mistake, and so he's like, I got to keep this under wraps so it doesn't get patched out, and like that's very funny. But because he has the shopping cart from the homeless woman, he gets these 3 items, and they're like 2 different types of communication devices and a pulse like gun pistol.
Blaster. You're like, what, with like different, with the name of a different corporation attached to them.
It's the name of a different corporation that Carl asks about, and he's like, that's the corporation that's about to seize all of the Barrant Company's assets. They're like the universe-wide corporation. And the homeless woman like appears again later in the dungeon, and Carl says like, hey, I have your shopping cart, and the woman like straightens and like looks at him, and Carl's like, I got the feeling that she didn't want me to say anything, like not that my life was in danger, but like
she had like the look in her eye like just don't say anything.
Yeah, and so he's like, your wheel is broken, and then she's like, oh, my wheel is broken, and she like and I think that's what really, I'm like, wait a minute, like what's going on here? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, she's like a corporate, she's probably like some sort of corporate spy or something,
I don't know, man.
It's good. It's a lot of fun.
It's pretty funny that there's a Waffle House as a safe room. I like very much the Russian shopkeeper when he shows up, and since Princess Donut has high charisma, she's always like getting pets and rubs, and she's like eating so much salmon, and Carl doesn't realize it, and then later in the book he's like, oh, it's because your charisma score is so high. Like, he only gives me 1 plate, he gives you all the fucking food you want. That's good stuff. But yeah, that's Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah, I think if this sounds interesting to you, I think for me it was that first 100 pages, which felt very like,
they're a little rough.
It was a little info dumpy, because like it's also written as if you've never played a video game before, because it's trying to be super clear. Because like I picked up it all right away, because like I played video games before.
Right. And so has Carl. Which is like, then why are we doing all this exposition? Like, he gets it.
Another thing I liked is that like part of it, he's like a Coast Guard vet, so he's like, he has some existing like skills and strength. He's not just like a loser.
Yeah. He also has like some sort of horrific relationship with his mother and father.
His like, dad is like, was like abusive, was like a cruel, abusive asshole just, like, or something. Left.
So I don't know. Maybe his dad will. That's what I like. His dad's got to show up in the dungeon. I mean, come on.
There's just like I said before. There's just enough of that stuff to like round out the character, that it's not just like video game moment to other video game moment to like video game moment.
Although that's a lot of it. Because what makes video games fun is you get to play them.
Right, I know. And I think that's where like the variety of the things that happen is fun. Like they go to the TV show, and then like there's these people, and it's the interaction, the relationships between the people. Like if it was just video game things happening, like that's when I would like put the book down. And I'm like, I'm gonna just go play a video game.
It really made me. There's a moment like I like stopped reading it, and I was like, games like Dungeon Crawler Carl. I was like trying to find, like, I don't know. I feel the same way.
I've been playing oh, go for it.
No. What were you gonna say?
I was like, I've been playing a game called Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Oh yes.
Do you know anything about this game?
Oh yeah, I played the first one, but
oh, you did?
One. Yeah.
I saw the first one and it seemed like it was up my alley because it's sort of like a cult classic realistic RPG with sort of like an arcane system. I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I want to play the second one. The first game, I played it when it came out, and it fits right in that sort of like Euro jank. The first one, not the second one so much, I think, because the first one, while cult status made $800 quadrillion, and so the second one is like really good and looks beautiful and works. But the first game, I like, man, the act of playing that sometimes it's like, boy, this does not work at all. But I thought it was so compelling, but I didn't want to play the second one yet because the story, you play the same guy, and so I was like, I do want to know how Henry, like, how do I end his first story, and I want to see how I've heard it doesn't matter. But
it doesn't. I feel like I'm missing nothing from not playing the first one. But you play a guy named Henry and you're going through like medieval Bohemia and you have nothing and everyone treats you like garbage because you have nothing. You have to like wash yourself. Otherwise people like won't trust you because you look like a homeless person.
I read a guy like he got caught for stealing and he got a thieves brand and people like treat him differently, and since it's branded in his skin it doesn't go away, and there's like some like witch you can visit who like promises she can like get it off of you, but you have to do like all this other stuff. It just sounds like the perfect video game.
God,
but I just don't have I don't have the time to I would lose my whole
it's so
life.
In depth. I was like covered in blood from killing a guy, and I tried to sneak up on some bandits, and they didn't see me, but a guy kept walking past where I was hiding and saying, what's that smell? That smells awful.
Oh, really? That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. And see, that is the kind of reactivity that happens to Carl in Dungeon Crawler Carl that makes me want to play video games. Like, that's my favorite. The immersive sim shit is my favorite shit in games. That makes like a world feel alive. Baldur's Gate 3 is replete with this sort of thing. You know, immersive sims, Deus Ex, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But boy, I want to know. I want to know what happens. I just don't know how many fucking Elon Musk jokes I can take. You know, there's only one in here. They say like Harambe is referenced in this book. Is what I'm talking about.
And it's like that's all like strictly the AI.
It really is. My least favorite book is the AI.
Which sort of makes sense because like it's like scoured the internet and absorbed all of like human civilization into like its computer, and so like it has those references, but like I don't find it particularly funny.
It is also designed to be annoying, like it's
yeah.
supposed to annoy Carl, but it's like, yeah, but Carl didn't spend $30 on this book to be annoyed, and I did.
And sometimes like there's a lot of it because it's all like it did make me laugh a few times too. Yeah, it's not everything.
But there's a shit ton of it. Every time they get like item boxes, it is like pages of bold black text explaining the items in some sort of like kitschy, quote unquote fun way that just drives me up a fucking wall.
Or like the bot, it has a catchy like sort of like pro wrestling announcement for each of the bosses. It goes like ding 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 or whatever. And shows the names of the people, like Carl versus the Hoarder.
Yeah, and he literally goes like, "This is like a fighting game," and it's like, I know that. Like, I don't need Carl to say that. I've heard some people are sort of sour on this book, and it's exactly the things we're talking about. Although I will say, I think this is better than Mistborn. If this is like the new fantasy thing that's sweeping everybody, I do think this is better and more worth your time.
I think it's more it's lighter.
Well, certainly lighter.
Probably lighter on the character stuff too. But like in terms of like hard magic system explained, fun problem solving, like it has that in spades. This has almost 70,000 ratings on Goodreads. It has less than 350 one-star reviews.
Holy shit.
That's crazy.
What is the overall? Is it 4.5?
It's 4.5. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. I forgot to look up some funny ones beforehand, so I'm looking. I think it's people didn't find it funny.
Yeah, which I don't either. But I was compelled enough by some of the things like Carl says internally did make me laugh, though. There's a moment like I literally laughed out loud last night reading it, and it's like she looked at me like I just asked her to eat a Twinkie out of my ass, and I don't know why I thought that was funny, but it did make me chuckle.
1 star, boring and annoying. Oh, this one's funny. How is it possible it has 4.5 rating here? Unless all 15,000 who rated it are boys around 12 years old. It is literally like reading about someone playing a mediocre game. Honestly, there's much better content on YouTube.
I mean, that's probably true.
That's fair. Everyone's like, is this for 12-year-olds? And like, kind of.
Yes,
kind of
it is. Yeah. But whatever. I think if you know that going into it, I think if you like this show, you'll like, at the very least, be okay with this book.
Yeah. Or at least have fun. And I think it's one of those things
fun.
like if you're reading it and you get to like a third of the way through and you're like, I don't want to read this anymore, I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's when you know. But it's short.
That's like sort of the camp I was in. I feel like I don't know if I didn't have to plow through, I don't know if I would have finished it.
Yeah,
but I think that's also where like mentally, because like I don't know, it's tough when like cause I'm like doing other fun stuff, like I'm playing video games and there's like other books that like I want to read, so it's hard to be like, oh, here's another fun thing. I think if I had a vacuum of fun things and this was my fun thing, I think it'd be great. And that's probably what I'm gonna treat the other books as, like, oh, I want something fun to do, I'll read the next
I can read the second
book.
It would be a very fun in my head, like maybe on a nice summer day, I'm like, God, what can I do today? And it's like, oh shit, I can start fucking
drink like 3 beers or like smoke some weed and read Dungeon Crawler Carl or something.
Exactly. Things 12-year-olds should not be doing, by the way. You should not be drinking and smoking weed and reading books.
This one's at 1 star. It says DNF at 8%.
Oof, that's rough.
Wow, that was my quickest DNF ever. Do people actually enjoy this series? It's incredibly silly, and while I usually don't mind a bit of silliness, this book lacks any substance. It's just mindless, obnoxious story with humor that feels like it was directly pulled from Ryan Reynolds' Twitter feed. Which I think that's an accurate description of the AI.
I do think so. It's like Deadpool. Like if you see Deadpool and you are like laugh out loud, like crying, laughing, I think you're gonna like the AI.
Which like middle school boys do.
Because the difference is like a funny book. Like, hey, I don't even think all the Hitchhiker's Guide books are funny, but the first one, at least, I think is pretty funny and holds up. Mm-hmm. And the difference is, I think the humor is less abrasive than it is here. It feels very. This humor was molded and forged in the times of the internet, and Hitchhiker's Guide was simply not.
It's like the dry situational stuff. Yeah. Like for Hitchhikers, like it's funny that there's a depressed robot.
Yes, that's hilarious. That's good stuff.
Which like it's this. I think the stuff that works in this book.
The answer to the universe is 42, and it's like, what does that mean? It's not like the answer to the universe is like a huge pair of boobs, like which is I feel like what it would be in this book. Or
like if like Douglas Adams was like referencing like the Queen or something, you know. Like I don't know what 70s British references.
I know. Monty Python episode just aired.
Right. Or like some other show, like there's like, oh, the BBC, my license fee is too high, and like you pay for public TV, like you need to.
It is a lot of reference humor.
The council tax.
So you don't like the exactly
British stuff.
If you don't like reference humor, you're not gonna like this either. There's a ton.
There's a ton of it, and I think that's the stuff that...
Like, this book, they're like, there's like Taco Bell down here, and you're supposed to be like, haha, Taco Bell! That's not a joke. There's just a Taco Bell down here.
Yeah.
There's a Taco Bell in having a Taco Bell in a place where you didn't expect a Taco Bell is not jokes. Okay, that might be relief if you're hungry, but it's not a joke.
And I think it's very clear, like, you know, this is an ebook, which, you know, there's very excellent ebooks out there. It is a little jarring reading this a $30 hardcover.
I know it is.
That's like formatted nicely, and it's like really nice paper, and like it just makes more sense on an e-reader.
Especially after we just read Watchmen.
Right?
Just like, I don't know, man. Just different worlds. They can't say the hardcover hooligans don't read all sorts of books. That's what they can't say. Speaking of,
although it does have like a little line where it's like, he's like, I could be mad at like these fish people, but like they're also just a cog in the machine. And so like that's, I think, the overarching theory, or probably the theme of these books is like systems of power.
Oh,
aren't
for sure.
Don't they suck,
Yeah.
Which I think is fine because it's a fun book, and I think it's nice that it at least has something like that to stand on, or like to be a backbone, because I think if it didn't have that, it would be a lot worse. Yeah, it'd be insufferable.
I'm actually surprised about how often the book is like, Carl will make a remark and be like, no, I can't get angry, like everybody is just like a servant of this machine. And it's like, wow, well, you're pretty woke there, Carl. And he's stomping on goblins, which I did like that. I do like when he is I think it's funny that he is not wearing shoes. I don't need the book to constantly be reminding me that he's not wearing shoes. It's funny when he steps in goo and like you just have to assume his feet hurt all the time. Like that's good stuff. He gets heart boxers in his underwear.
Yeah, and something that he realizes later on is like, oh, the AI is specifically not giving him shoes or pants because it knows that like that is what makes it entertaining.
Yeah.
And so he's like torn between like leaning into it, like it's like, because he knows the more he leans into being frustrated about not having shoes, the less it's going to give him shoes, because that's like funny.
And now his feet do extra damage because he hasn't been wearing shoes.
Right. Like someone tries to give him boots and he's like, I'm not going to use these because they would be worse than my bare feet.
Yeah.
I can like crush concrete with my heels.
It's also the only reason he survives. Like he gets his whole body completely eviscerated and destroyed, but his feet are invulnerable, so
right.
he doesn't die. Which is funny.
The opposite of an Achilles heel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is funny that his whole body's broken, and like the only part of like his health was totally depleted, but the little bit of health he did still have was just because his feet were invincible.
Yes. And that's good, and that's funny, and the book isn't like, yeah, I don't know. I just hate that AI gets horny.
It's this situational stuff that's good and funny.
I think the juicer is a boss. Just quickly, one of the bosses is a juiced up like body.
Oh, that was
on
very
steroids.
funny.
And he's like getting his face pummeled, and he's like, "You're doing so good, bro." Like I thought that was
he's like a lizard who's like bursting at the seams. Well, he was walking over to him. He's like, "Can someone give me a spot?" And then he's just like punching him. Which I laughed out loud. I thought that was really funny.
And that's the moment where Princess Donut almost dies, and you're like, "Holy fuck!" I couldn't believe that I cared.
Yep.
Good job, Matt Dinniman.
Yep. I think there's no other funny 1-star reviews. I think Ryan Reynolds' Twitter feed is pretty accurate to some of the stuff in this book.
Well, I think our next book, we know what it is, I believe. If it is Carrie, I think, right?
Right, yes. I forgot that we talked about that, yes.
We're going to be reading Stephen King's Carrie next. Another wild tone switch.
Yeah, Watchmen, Dungeon Crawler Carl. No, it was Farseer Trilogy,
yep.
Watchmen, Dungeon Crawler Carl, Carrie.
So if you want to, Carrie's pretty short, so we're just going to read the whole thing. So if you read along with us, that's what we're doing. If you like the show, please leave us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. If you want to send us an email, you can send us an email at hardcoverhooligans@gmail.com. We really appreciate everything we get. You can follow us on Instagram at hardcoverhooligans.
We do not post there, really. But...
No, we're not post there, but that's hopefully that's all going to change soon. All right, we got some irons in the fire, as they say.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you guys listening. It's sort of insane to me. I know we only have 5-star reviews on Spotify. But that's so cool.
That's awesome. It's like real
awesome.
People. The emails we have gotten are from people we don't know, which is crazy.
I know, it's crazy. So thank you so much for listening, and stay hard, everybody.
Stay crawling.
Stay crawling.
Keep your feet hard, because Carl's feet are hard.
Good.
Something.
Keep your feet hard and stay crawling. That'd be my sign off if I was like a news anchor.
And then I have to do like a fart. I'd be like, I go.
Yeah, like a schlocky radio morning radio hose.